Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jam Vishnu Pad Padamamsa Parvajikacharya Astro Tarasati Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jam Vishnu Pad Padamamsa Parvajikacharya Astro Tarasati Shishimad Shringa Guru Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Anantikoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premsiko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai New Dwarka Dham Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Gaur-Nitai Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Shrimati Subhadra Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Jumunamaya Gangamaya Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Jaga Ki Jai Transcendental Prashadam Distribution Ki Jai Gaura Premananda Hari Hari Bol All glories to all the Sama devotees Hare Krishna All glories to all the Sama devotees Hare Krishna All glories to all the Sama devotees Hare Krishna all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Okay, so forgive me, I forgot my computer glasses, so I'll try to see what we have here to read. Okay, so we have Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the 4th canto, chapter 1, the genealogical table of the daughters of Manu. They call this canto the 4th order, the creation of the 4th order. And basically we're going to talk about the secondary creation by Lord Brahma. And so we're going to read from verses 39 to 56, 17 verses. So I hope you guys are patient. There's only 66 verses in the whole chapter, so probably in the next couple of days you'll be finished with this chapter. This chapter. So, but if you're patient, it said that, what does it say? You get some return on your investment. You know what it is? I'll just read it. It says, hearing the detailed descriptions of this dynasty is said to immediately relieve one from all sinful contamination and allow one to attain piety, helping in the advancement towards your liberation. Isn't that amazing? Just by sitting and listening to this transcendental cosmic family tree. This is what it is. We're a family tree. Has anybody ever searched into their family tree? Why? Yeah. Yeah. Understand something about, your heritage, where you came from. Maybe you learn some good things. But you may also find out some bad things. And the same thing in this cosmic family tree. There's some bad things that took place. Okay, so I'll just start reading and appreciate your kind attention. Okay, so let me take off my glasses here. Quatur api kriya bharya valakiyan asuyata risin shasti sahasrani jvalato brahma tejasa. So Kratu's wife, Kriya, gave birth to 60,000 great sages named the Valakilas. All these sages were greatly advanced in spiritual knowledge, and their bodies were illuminated by such knowledge. Purport. Kriya was the sixth daughter of Kardama Muni, and she produced 60,000 sages, who are known as the Valakilas, because they all retired from family life as vanaprasthas. So from text 39 to 45, it's going to show this massive progeny of sages, and it'll emphasize their descendants. They weren't merely people, but actually great sages and illuminated scholars. So it's amazing. So, and then we'll see the dynasty of Bhrigu coming up. So this was verse 39. So we're going to text 40 now. Urjvayam yagnire putra vishishtasya prantapa chitraketu pradanaste saptabhamarshaya malai. The great sage Vishishta begotten his wife Urja, sometimes called Arundhati. 7 spotless great sages, headed by the sage named Chitraketu. Anybody know who Chitraketu was? Amazing personality, huh? It's a beautiful story. Talk about descendants in your family tree and having offspring. He had like millions of wives, and he couldn't have one child. You know, that's amazing. So, but then he has one, and we see what happens. It's a whole story. It's amazing, amazing pastime. And we learn a lot from that. This whole canto is just so many amazing things happen, so many amazing personalities we're going to meet, and it's just beautiful. Okay, so we're in text 41. Chitraketu suroschis cha viraja mitra eva cha ubano vasubridhyano duman shakti arayo pare. The names of these 7 sages are as follows: Chitraketu, Surochi, Viraja, Mitra, Ubana, Vasubridhana, and Dumyan. Some other very competent sons were born from Vasishta's other wife. Purport. Urja, who is sometimes known as Arundhati and was the wife of Vashishta, was the 9th daughter of Kardama Muni. So text 42. Chitistva atarvana patni lebe putram vritivratam dadyancham avasirasam brigurvam sam nibodame. Chitta, wife of the sage Atarva, gave birth to a son named Asvashira by accepting a great vow called Dadyancha. Now you may hear from me about the descendants of the sage Bhrigu. Purport. The wife of Atarva, known as Chitti, is also known as Shanti. She was the 8th daughter of Kardama Muni. So text 43. Bhrigu kyatyam mahabhaga patyam putran ajijanat tattaram cha vidataram shriyam cha bhagavat param. The sage Bhrigu was highly fortunate. In his wife, known as Kyati, he begot 2 sons named Datta and Vidata, and 1 daughter named Shri, who was very much devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 44. Ayatim niyatim chaiva sute me rus tayoradat tabyam tayor abhavatam mrikanda prana evacha. The sage Meru had 2 daughters named Ayati and niyati, whom he gave in charity to datta and vidhata. Adyati and niyati gives birth to two sons, Mrikanda and Prana. Text 45. Markandeyo Markandasya Pranadveda Surya Muni Kavischa Bhargavo Yasya Bhagavanu Sanasutaha. From Mrikanda, Markandeya Muni was born. And from Prana, the sage Vedasira, whose son was Ushana, Sukracharya, also known as Kavi. This Kavi also belonged to the descendants of the Bhrigu dynasty. Text 46 and 47. Taete manayakshatir lokan sagir abhavayan esha kardama duhitra santana katitastava Srinvata Shraddha Nanasya Sadya Papahara Para Prasuntim Manavim Daksha Upayemehi Ajatmaja. My dear Vidura, the population of the universe was thus increased by the descendants of these sages and the daughters of Kardama. Anyone who hears the descriptions of this dynasty with faith will be relieved from all sinful reactions. Another of Manu's daughters, known as Prasuti, married the son of Brahma, named Daksha. Okay, so here's text 48, I believe. Tasham Shararja Duitri Sodasama Lalochana Trayodasada Dharmaya Tataikam Agne Vibhu. Daksha begot 16 very beautiful daughters with lotus-like eyes in his wife Prasuti. Of these 16 daughters, 13 were given in marriage to Dharma, and one daughter was given to Agni. So this is very interesting. So these texts from 48 here to 52, these are going to focus on King Daksha's 16 daughters, and they actually established the moral framework of the universe. That's amazing. So they're personified qualities. They're essential for a peaceful society. So like we'll see like Shraddha, she represents faith, and she produced Subha, which is fearlessness. So that's described there. So text 49 to 52. Pritabhyaikam yuktebhyo bhavayaikam bhavachide Shraddha maitri daya shantish tushti pushti kriyonati buddhir meda titikshahir murti dharmasya patnaya Shraddha sutta subham maitri prasadam abhayam daya shantim sukham mudam tushti smayam pushtir asuyata yogam kriyanatir darpam artam buddhir asuyata medha smritim titiksha tu kshemam hri prasayam sutam murti sarva gunot patir Nara-Nārāyaṇa Ṛṣi. Okay, so this is from text 52 to 56. This is a culmination of the lineages of virtues, and which actually ends up in the birth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Nara-Nārāyaṇa. And that's from one of the daughters, Murti. She's actually described to be the representative of all auspicious qualities, like a reservoir of it, actually. And so, by that appearance, it caused the entire world to be filled with joy, and everyone became tranquil. So let's read this here. One of the remaining two daughters was given in charity to the Pitri Loka, where she resides very amicably and the other was given to Lord Shiva, who is a deliverer of sinful persons from material entanglement. The names of the 13 daughters of Daksha who were given to Dharma are Shraddha, Maitri, Daya, Shanti, Tushti, Pushti, Kriya, Unnati, Buddhi, Medha, Titiksha, Hri, and Murti. These 13 daughters produced the following sons. Shraddha gave birth to Subha. Maitra produced Prasad. Daya gave birth to Abhaya. Shanti gave birth to Sukha. Tushti gave birth to Muda. Pushti gave birth to Shmaya. Kriya gave birth to Yoga. Unnati gave birth to Darpa. Buddhi gave birth to Artha. Medha gave birth to Smriti. Titiksha gave birth to Shema. And Hri gave birth to Prashraya. Murti, a reservoir of all respectable qualities, gave birth to Sri Nara-Nārāyaṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is nice. Actually, Srila Vishnava Chakravarti Thakur, he gives a little small purport to this. And he says that Yuktebhya, which is a Sanskrit we mentioned, means together. And by the original meaning of the words, the daughters started with Shraddha, are the presiding deities of various Shaktis of Sattva Guna. And so these daughters had corresponding qualities. And then, So also there's another purport. This is by, this is the same, because he broke this down into 2 sections. In our chapter here, this is all together. So the last 2 verses he says, a purport. He says, Smaya means enthusiastic to perform acts of dharma. Darpa means expert in austerity and yoga. Another smaya, or enthusiasm, is arrogance. And darpa, pride, produced generations of sinful people. Sarva gunotpati means that she was the source of the Lord who is endowed with all auspicious qualities. Murti, a form of Sudasattva, should be understood to be the Shakti who manifests the Lord. It's amazing. So you see here how we get these dynasties of sinful people also, according to people's qualities, their smaya, their enthusiasm to perform acts. So, text 53. Yayorya janmani ado vishvam adyana dat shri sunirvitam mamamsi kukubo bhataha prasedu saritu draya. Translation. On the occasion of the appearance of Nara-Nārāyaṇa, the entire world was full of joy. Everyone's mind became tranquil, and thus in all directions, the air, the rivers, and the mountains became pleasant. Text 54 to 55. Guys doing okay? Divya vadantu turyani petuks kusuma vricitaya munayas tustuvus tusta jagur gandharva kinarya nrityanti smastriyo devya asit parama mangalam deva brahma dayan sarve upatyastur abhishtavya. In the heavenly planets, bands began to play, and they showered flowers from the sky. The pacified sages chanted Vedic prayers. The denizens of heaven, known as the Gandharvas and Kinnaras, sang. The beautiful damsels of the heavenly planets danced. And in this way, at the time of the appearance of Nara-Nārāyaṇa, all signs of good fortune were visible. Just at that time, great demigods like Brahma also offered their respectful prayers. Amazing. Just see who can appear that can influence all the creation, pacifies everybody, and all kinds of good signs. And also we see the opposite of that when demons are born. So many unnatural things happen and disasters and so many, terrible things. So text 56, this is our verse today. And I guess we could chant it together if you want. Let's see how our time is going. Devā ūcuḥ yo māyayā viracitaṁ nijayātmanīdaṁ ya viracitaṁ niyamaya ke rūpa-bhedam iva tat-praticakṣaṇāya etena dharma-sadane ṛṣi-mūrtinādya prāduścakāra puruṣāya namaḥ parasmai yo māyayā viracitaṁ nijayātmanīdaṁ ke rūpa-bhedam iva tat-praticakṣaṇāya etena dharma-sadane ṛṣi-mūrtinādya prāduścakāra puruṣāya namaḥ parasmai yo māyayā viracitaṁ nijayātmanīdaṁ ke rūpa-bhedam iva tat-praticakṣaṇāya etena dharma-sadane ṛṣi-mūrtinādya prāduścakāra puruṣāya namaḥ parasmai Nara-Nārāyaṇa devā ūcuḥ ṛṣi-mūrtinādya parasmai devā ūcuḥ tat-praticakṣaṇāya etena dharma-sadane ṛṣi-mūrtinādya prāduścakāra puruṣāya parasmai. Vaishnavis. Devā ūcuḥ. Yo māyayā viracitaṁ māyayā. Rūpa-bhedam etena ṛṣi-mūrtinādya. Okay. Devā, the demigods. Ūcuḥ, said. Yā, who? Māyayā, by the external energy. Viracitaṁ, was created. Nijayā, by his own. Ātmani, being situated in him. Idam, this. Ke, in the sky. Rūpa-bhedam, bunches of clouds. Devā, as if. Tat, of himself. Praticakṣaṇāya, for manifesting. Etena, with this. Dharma-sadane, in the house of Dharma. ṛṣi-mūrtinā, with the form of a sage. Adya, today. Prāduścakāra, appeared. Puruṣāya, unto the Personality of Godhead. Namaḥ, respectful obeisances. Parasmai, the supreme. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. So these verses 56 to 57, they're emphasizing the prayers of the demigods, confirming that the Lord appeared as Nara-Nārāyaṇa Ṛṣi to create peace and prosperity, to destroy all the calamities of this material world. So this is a translation. The demigods said, "Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the transcendental Personality of Godhead, who created as his external energy this cosmic manifestation, which is situated in him as the air and clouds are situated in space, and who has now appeared in the form of Nara-Nārāyaṇa Ṛṣi in the house of Dharma." So in the Krama Sandarbha by Jiva Goswami, he has a nice purport to this verse, very short. He says, "He has appeared to show now that the universe is situated in him like sun rays, moon rays, and dust in the sky. Like the sky, he is untouched by māyā and not covered by it." So it's nice. It's a beautiful analogies. And so, the purport. We have a couple of slides of purports here. The universal form of the Lord is the cosmic manifestation, which is an exhibition of the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In space, there are innumerable varieties of planets, and also the air. And in the air, there are various colored clouds. And sometimes we see airplanes running from one place to another. Thus, the entire cosmic manifestation is full of variety. But actually, that variety is a manifestation of the external energy of the Supreme Lord. And that energy is situated in him. Now the Lord himself, after manifesting his energy, appeared within the creation of his energy, which is simultaneously one and different from him. And therefore the demigods offered their respects to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who manifests himself in such varieties. There are some philosophers called non-dualists who, because of their impersonal conception, think that varieties are false. In this verse, it is specifically stated, Yo māyayā viracitaṁ. This indicates that the varieties are a manifestation of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, because the energy is non-different from the Godhead, the varieties are also factual. The material varieties may be temporary, but they are not false. They are a reflection of the spiritual varieties. Here the word prāduścakāra, there are varieties, announces the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared as Nara-Nārāyaṇa Ṛṣi, and who is the origin of all varieties of material nature. Jai. Finally, Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshusumanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakadamaya Mayam Dati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Jaya Pataka Swami Niti Namane Namacharya Pradayane Nitya Kripa Padayane Gorakate Damodar Nagor Grama Tarane. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirasesha Sunyavadi Paschata Desatadine Vanchakopa Tubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavane Bhyo Vaishnavi Bhyo Namo Namaha. Okay. I don't think you want to go through all the verses again, do you? So, this is really beautiful. I was just thinking how there's so many nice varieties. Just walking down the street or driving through town, you see so many beautiful flowers. So many amazing flowers. It has so many beautiful designs and things. And this is all the variety of Krishna. Krishna's artistic, abilities. His energies. It's amazing. And you see that in varieties of species, so many different things. It's so beautiful, so nice to see that. So anyway, this is Nara-Nārāyaṇa. I've got a few images here, just to give you an idea. This is the celebration, on the one on the left, of Nara-Nārāyaṇa when he appeared. A great celebration. Everybody's happy, even the mountains, the streams, and everything. And there's a few other pictures of Nara-Nārāyaṇa Ṛṣi, different pastimes that we have throughout our literatures. And here's a couple more we found here. And this is a sage, I forget his name. Is it, I forget this person's name. Vishwamrita? I'm not sure, somebody like that. And then who else is this on the right? This is also Nara-Nārāyaṇa Ṛṣi. Do you recognize him? Yeah, Krishna and Arjuna. They come to the same mission, to eliminate the burdens of the world and to, create peace like that. So they come. They gave us the Bhagavad Gita. So here I just kind of give you a good overview of the, this is from Gauranga Darshan's book that he has from the Bhagavatam Subodhoni. And here you see the different, our family tree here. So this is Swayambhuva Manu and Satarupa. They had 3 daughters and 2 sons. And here it shows, I don't know if you can see that from where you are. Can you see? Very clearly, but yeah, and then it shows who they married and where the reference is in the Bhagavatam. The 2 sons goes all the way up to the 5th canto. And so we're here in the 4th canto, chapter 1, the descendants of Manu's daughters. And you see here, it's all described there. So how can we relate to this today? It's like, and you could see as you read these lineages, it's like a guide to living a pious life, actually. And the details of all these descendants, both pious and impious, like we see irreligion and his progeny, these things, they serve as moral guides. We'll see the downfall of King Vena, because he was born from contamination. And this is going to illustrate the consequences of our mischievous and irreligious activities. And we're advised, to actually get it together. Don't engage in these, we have to despise, it said, these causes of devastation like cheating, lying, envy, all these things, and try to advance to piety. And that reminds me of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's poem, the Vaishnava, was it Vaishnava Thakur? Yeah, Vaishnava Thakur, I think it's the name of his poem. And this is one of his verses. And then, my friends, no more enjoy, nor weep for all below. Like he means all the irreligious stuff. The women, wine, and flesh of beasts, no love on these bestow. So he's saying, my friends, don't enjoy this. It's a practical spiritual instruction. Don't seek ultimate satisfaction in temporary things, right? Like wine, women, violence. We see so much violence today. Even, flesh of beasts, that's violence. But they can't provide true love because they're based on exploitation rather than spiritual connection. And that's what this is all about. All these tables, these genealogical activities going on, and they're all from relationships, connections, personalities, and their qualities determine the outcome that they have. And so this is what we need. We have to emphasize family values and spiritual training. And the ultimate success of family, it doesn't lie just in our opulences, but in producing offspring who advance spiritually. So just see, that's the real product. Like there's a quote from Steve Jobs. He says one of the ways that he believes that people express their appreciation to the rest of humanity is to make something wonderful and put it out there. And see what these great personalities are doing, right? So he says, somehow in the act of making something with a great deal of care and love, something is transmitted there. And it's a way of expressing to the rest of our species our deep appreciation. So we need to be true to who we are and remember what's really important to us. And this is a person that's, what is he producing? All these fancy products like you see here. Or the phones we use and so many different things. So this is, we have to see that's the real product. These beautiful children. Because it's all about personal relationships. It's all about personality, devouring, loving relationships. And it's also showing us the importance of this Vedic authority. We have to have authentic spiritual guidance rather than just concocted systems of irreligion, or by these foolish rascals. And we have to understand the karmic reactions and transmigration. We'll see that throughout this fourth canto. It's a very powerful reminder that we have to cultivate Krishna consciousness and break this cycle of, material existence. And then this is our, where we're at here in this section. The genealogical line of Devahuti. And we've had verses here from 39, I think, to 56 in this area right here. So that's what we discussed. Actually going down through 50, yeah. And then the daughters like that. So I put together these analogies that just in this particular section that we read. So we'll go through those real quickly here. So we'll have the reference of the text, the metaphor, and then we'll talk about the different concepts explained. So here's the first one. So as we just read, it's like Lord is like the air in the clouds, situated in space, right? And so this shows that it's full of variety everywhere. This external energy, it's a factual reflection of the spiritual variety. And then we have text 57. So he says here that he's covered by material nature, just as outer space or the illumination of the sun and the moon, it's sometimes covered by clouds or dust. And so this is why sometimes it's difficult for us to see Krishna, because he's covered, he's still there, but our eyes are covered by these different modes of material nature. And so another analogy from the same text is that the Lord's glance, he can supersede the beauty of the spotless lotus flower, which is the home of the goddess of fortune. So this shows his supremacy and his compassion, that he has. And then we have text 49 to 52, the virtues of progeny. So that'll go into the 13 daughters and all they explain. So I did another graph just to break that down for you. And we can see what you guys remember about these different mothers. It's like they represent the different moralities. And then the sun, which is the concrete positive result. So anybody remember what Shraddha, faith, produced from what we read? Okay, so Subha, auspiciousness. Let's see if anybody could remember any of it. So there's Matri, she represents friendship, and she produced Prasad, grace. And then Daya, compassion. What does she produce? Abhaya, fearlessness. And then Shanti, peace. What? You're right, Sukha. Wow. Jai. And then Tushti, satisfaction produced. Muda, or muda, delight. And then Pushti, which is nourishment, fulfillment, produced. Smaya, astonishment and wonder. And then Kriya, which is action, ritual. This is the one I remembered of all of them at first. So this is yoga, mystic power, connection. So Kriya, like Kriya Yoga, And then, what's this? Unnati, progress. And she produced Dharpa. Yeah. And this is arrogance, pride. And then Buddhi, intelligence, produced Artha, wealth, economic development. Meda, retentive memory, power. What is that? Pretty much the same thing. Smriti, Vedic injunctions, memory. And then 11, Titiksha, tolerance. And that produced well-being and safety. Just think if we could be tolerant, right? Someone offends you, and instead of like lashing out or just, responding in a way and actually cause violence and cause something misery, you could just be tolerant and everything will be fine. Right? So that's your safety too. And then Hri, modesty or shame, and that produced Prashraya, courtesy and humility. Yeah, it actually takes modesty to become very modest. And then Murti, everybody should remember that. Jai, yeah. And she's the form embodiment of qualities, and she produced Sri Nara-Nārāyaṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's that. So anyway, I think we should stop here. Oh, it's already overtime. And if anybody would like to stay, I just kind of did a summary video of the entire chapter. And if you'd like to see, it's kind of fun how we could have technology aid us in remembrance and learning. But for me, I think the ultimate culmination, my understanding is that all these respectable qualities were embodied in Murti, and it resulted in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's like the highest positive result that we can attain through our righteousness. And that's what our goal is, right? We want to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's how we want to attain these good qualities. So that's our goal. So this is the solution. Anyone want to say anything before, or mention anything before it's like, I think it's like 8 minutes, this little summary video, and it's narrated, and it's about our cosmic family tree. So you ready? Okay, let's dive right into it. Oh yeah, let me turn up the sound. That should be enough, I hope.
The verse began, ancient texts have a totally different take. It's not a big bang, it's a family. And today, we're going to dive into one of the biggest family sagas of all time. We're not just talking about a dry list of names here. This is the story of how the entire cosmos was populated, and believe it or not, it all started with one guy and his daughters. So right at the start of everything, you've got Swayambhuva Manu, basically the first man, and his wife, Shaharupa. And they had 3 daughters. That's it, just 3. But these 3, they were the ones who would basically become the matriarchs of all creation. I mean, everything that comes after, we're talking gods, sages, even demons. It all starts right here with them. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the first man's family and a pretty weird marriage contract. Then, we'll get into a sage's absolutely mind-blowing cosmic prayer. After that, we'll quickly trace some other major family lines. And we'll wrap up with the 16 daughters of Daksha, which you'll see leads to a really tragic story about one daughter who was left childless. Alright, so let's meet them. Their names are Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. These are Manu's 3 daughters, our starting point for this whole cosmic family tree. The texts say that their kids and their kids' kids' kids ended up spreading out across all 3 worlds. You know, the heavens, the earth, and the lower realms. Now, Devahuti's story, that's a whole other saga we'll save for later. Today, we're going to focus on the other 2 branches of this amazing family. Okay, let's kick things off with the first daughter, Akuti. Her marriage to the sage Ruchi is interesting. It comes with this really specific kind of strange condition that her dad, Manu, lays down. And here's the kicker. Manu already had 2 sons, so why on earth would he need to cut some special deal to get a grandson? This is where the story gets really, really good. Right, so this practice has a name, puruṣāya. And basically, it was a way for a guy with no sons to make sure his family line didn't die out. But like we just said, Manu did have sons. So this tells you right away, he wasn't doing this because he had to. Nope, he was being ambitious, and he had a very specific goal in mind. It shows you it wasn't just about having an heir. It was about getting a very special, spiritually powerful one. And his motivation, wow, it was huge. I mean, this detail is just incredible. Manu wasn't just playing matchmaker here. He was literally setting the stage for a divine incarnation. He knew, somehow he knew, that the Supreme Lord himself was going to be born from his daughter. And he wanted that divine child in his family, not just as a grandson, but he wanted to adopt him as his own son too. And you won't believe how perfectly this all played out. Akuti has twins. The son, Yajna, turns out to be an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So, just like the deal said, he goes back to his grandpa, Manu. And the daughter, Dakshina, well, she was an incarnation of the goddess Lakshmi, and she stayed with her dad, Ruchi. So, you see what happened? The divine couple, Vishnu and Lakshmi, they appeared together in the same generation as brother and sister. Amazing. Alright, let's switch gears and follow another branch of this cosmic family tree. This time, we're looking at the line that comes from the sage Ātmani. He married one of the daughters from Devahuti's side of the family, and just like his ancestor Manu, Ātmani had his own massive, incredibly ambitious goal. His prayer was, on the one hand, super simple, but on the other hand, just cosmic in its ambition. He didn't just want any son. He wanted a son who was exactly like the Lord of the universe. He just held on to that one single thought and poured everything he had into making it happen. And, when these texts talk about austerities, they aren't kidding around. Get this, the man stood on one leg. He ate nothing but air, and he did this for 100 years. Can you even imagine? The power from this penance was so intense that it created this blazing fire coming from his head. A fire so bright that, the head honchos of the universe couldn't help but notice. And here's what happened next. It wasn't just one god who showed up. Oh no, 3 of them did. You've got Lord Vishnu, the preserver, riding his eagle Garuda. Then there's Lord Brahma, the creator, on his swan. And finally, Lord Shiva, the destroyer, on his bull. I mean, the entire cosmic management team just rolled up to his front door. So you can just picture poor Ātmani, right? He's got to be thrilled, but also totally confused. He prayed for the Lord of the universe, singular, and he gets 3 of them standing in front of him. So he just comes right out and asks, hey, with all due respect, which one of you was I actually praying to? And their answer, this is one of the deepest moments in the whole story. They basically tell him, look, your focus was so perfect, and you were meditating on the one Supreme Lord, so we all came. We're all just different faces of the same person you were thinking about. And that's such a key insight, right? It's saying that if your devotion is pure enough, it can cut through all the different forms and connect you directly to the source of everything. So boom, wish granted. Atri and his wife Anasuya are blessed with 3 sons. And each son is a partial incarnation of one of the gods who appeared. So from Lord Brahma, you get Soma. From Lord Vishnu, you get the amazing mystic Dattatreya. And from Lord Shiva, you get the famously powerful and sometimes cranky sage Durvasa. Okay, so now that these divine sons are in the picture, the family tree just explodes. It starts branching out like crazy. And the descendants of these sages, well, they go on to populate the world with some of the most famous and, infamous characters in the entire mythology. And this really gives you a sense of the scale we're talking about. I mean, just take one example, right? The lineage of the sage Pulastya. His grandson, none other than Ravana, the big bad guy from the Ramayana. Or how about the sage Kratu? He had 60,000 sons, all great sages called the Valakiryas. 60,000! The numbers are just mind-boggling. It really shows you how these few original families just filled up the whole universe. Which brings us to the 3rd and final of Manu's original daughters, Prasuti. Now, she married a guy named Daksha, who was another one of Brahma's sons. And together, they didn't have 1 daughter or 3, they had 16. And these 16 daughters would go on to create some of the most important family ties in the entire cosmos. And this gives you a nice breakdown of what happened to them. The vast majority, 13 of them, all married Dharma, who's basically the personification of duty and cosmic law. One married Agni, the fire god. Another one was given to the ancestors over in Pitraloka. But it's that last one, the one daughter who married Lord Shiva, that's where our final and really heartbreaking story begins. Her name was Sati, the 16th daughter. And in this whole epic story that's been all about having kids and populating the universe, her life takes a really sharp, sad turn. She was married to the great Lord Shiva himself, the destroyer. But here's the thing. The text specifically points out that Sati had no children. And that makes you stop and think, right? In a story where everyone is having thousands, even tens of thousands of kids, why make a point of saying she had none? Well, the reason wasn't some grand cosmic plan or a curse. It was something painfully human. It was a terrible family problem. Her own father, Daksha, could not stand her husband. He was constantly and very publicly insulting Lord Shiva, even though Shiva had done absolutely nothing wrong. So Sati was just torn apart, caught between her love for her husband and the constant disrespect coming from her dad. And she made a truly devastating choice. Before she was even old enough to have children, she used her own incredible yogic power and just gave up her body, the very body her father had given her. A tragic end to a life, all because of family drama. And that kind of leaves us with a final question, doesn't it? We've just gone through this incredible story about a universe being filled up because of divine plans and powerful prayers. But we end on a story where everything gets thrown off course, not by a demon, but by a father's pride and a daughter's pain. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much of destiny, even on this cosmic level, is really shaped not just by divine will, but by the simple, powerful conflicts that happen inside a single family.
Jai. Thank you for your kind attention and patience. Anybody have any comment? No? Okay. All right, thank you again. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.